Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We'll start with Surah Al-Hamd, known throughout the world as Surah Al-Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العظيم. Greetings all, and of course, as we get this linguistic party started, we'd like to turn our attention inward, internal. That's where we reside internally. That's where the greater life is, the greater portion of our life. And so we'll do that by offering thanks, expressing gratitude. As always, again, if you can do it with a written utensil, pen, that's always better. But if not, just registering just in your consciousness, mentally, is sufficient. But give thought, deep thought, to all the things that you have to be grateful for. From conception, all the way to the last breath. We have so much to be grateful for at each stage of the journey and at each moment. Just embracing the moment is such an immensity of gratitude just by just embracing the moment, just being present. As a matter of fact, there's no greater force in our life than to be present. And to be present. Today, we will entertain the subject matter of universal systems of knowledge. And what more appropriate in this day and in this time of the forward movement of humanity than to address that subject matter, the universal systems of knowledge. And when I heard that subject, that title of our class today that we'll be addressing, the subject matter, it took my mind immediately to Ayah, and to the importance of what we're doing in Nunetics, and that is to address the meanings in each letter. And each letter has deep meaning. It's not surface. So what you get in the Nunetics book, in the manual, in the book that we have, is in and of itself, it's essential information or knowledge, but it in and of itself is just scratching the surface. It's an introduction, something to direct us in our thinking and our sensitivities. But just like when a person that's involved in building a physical structure, be it a skyscraper or a residence, they have to have in their imagination their destination, the structure being completed, how it's going to be utilized, who will inhabit the structure, exactly what the structure will be used for, what it will be doing itself, if in fact it has the ability to serve in that capacity, what it will look like, how it will be furnished. It had this complete idea of what it is you're working toward. The farmer has to, before the farmer even goes out to gather seeds to plant the crop. First, he has to know just what those he's going to serve, his family, the community, the market. He has to know or have an idea of just what the finished product will look like. Likewise, for this thing that we're building, our human constitution, our human life, again, we have to have some idea of the fullness, the completion of the life experience in its fullness, in its completeness, in its wholeness, if you will. Don't like to use that word whole because, uh, and our insistence upon being more and more aware of the words that we use and the power that each one of those words and the letters in those words, the power that's in that. We want to be more selective. So uh, often there is duplication in meanings. So we'll say fullness of the life. Allah completed us and established for us uh, patterns in our life. And I'm sure as we address today's subject matter about the systems of universal knowledge, will engage that subject. Uh, it's one thing about uh, being fortunate, again, staying clear of that word blessed, uh, being gifted with the experience to live a human life as true humans, completed uh, in our constitution and our structure. You know, we have been given this tool, the valuable tool called Nunetics. When we understand in the word ayat, the signs that Allah has given us throughout the whole of the universe. We have the microcosm, the very small or smallest or tiniest as we perceive things in their measurement, to the macrocosm, the very small concepts or ideas that makes up this creation, all the way to the most expansive uh, ideas and concepts that we can bring into our imagination. It's all in the science, the ayah, from Aleph to Ya, you know. And Aleph, of course, Nunetics suggests to us that it representing the spine and the concept of structure for our life, for the human life. And the completed structure, the wholeness, the things that holds it together, and that determines not only the form but the function of the life, all the way to Ya, the outstretched hand, the full expression of the life, and expressed so fully that you have access uh, and you are urged to share that access with others. So just that, just as a way of just introduction in terms of how much we have to be thankful for. It's and that's not just in we're looking at life in terms of from the time we're born to the time that we exit this carbon 12 suit, this human flesh and body, but uh, not only our life in that sense, but our life from day to day. We should want to see it in its fullness, in its completeness, uh, and that suggests living life each day and each moment in the day complete, full. And the best way for us to do that in our imagination is to again go inward as we're doing right now, and our in this process of being grateful, giving gratitude, to go inward. And when we do that, we quiet the noise of this life that we're exposed to. We quiet the noise that uh, in our minds, even in our hearts, in our emotional state. We quiet that, and when we can quiet the noise, we can get into uh, this state of being that allows us to activate the single part of our brain, the pineal, that we're able to get into a state of activation of that part of us that opens us up to direct communication with Source Creator. And that's what this whole process of gratitude does. It opens us up. It opens us up. And when we can open ourselves up, we recognize and realize that we're being guided every moment of our life experience. Each day should be given and living completely. Don't live your day with low expectations of what the day has to offer. You know, each moment, each day is like a whole lifetime. So live it fully and be fully grateful for the experience of just being alive. And when you breathe like that, when you move like that, then you are moving in the abundance, you're moving in a state of joy and happiness, living in a story of, or in a state of being complete. So with those few words of thanksgiving, as we call it, of gratitude, and as a start to this journey today, looking uh, at the universal systems of knowledge, looking at that and with the thought that we want to see as we hear what International Instructor Benjamin Bilal has to share with us, how does that apply in my life today, in this moment? How can I take this information and apply it in my thinking, in my sensitivities, uh, in my emotions, in my relationships, in my creating, taking my part as a creator in my life experience for myself and my family? How can I contribute to what's happening in the world as we move forth and continue to expand the forward movement of the humanity? So with that, I will take this talking stick and gladly pass it to Adam, and he has some very valuable information for us in terms of our growth as a uh, as a as an ummah, as a movement. Nunetics is a movement. It's a forward movement, and we represent not only ourselves but the whole humanity. So, thank you for your attention, and remember, what we give our attention to, it expands.
Salam alaikum.
That's right.
Alaikum salam.
I just have to interject. You know me. That was tight, man. That was tight. I
Wallah.
mean, that was tight. I'm gonna say a bad word. Damn! Excuse me. Let me get back.
Well, it's time for all of us to step up. It is indeed. It's time for us to step up. And, if we haven't noticed, the old world is done. It's done. So what does that mean? So it's time for us to, when the farmer sees the winter, uh, and starts noticing the weather starts getting warmer and warmer as it is right now, the farmer gets busy. And the farmer starts getting the seeds together, start making sure that the soil is prepared, making sure that the tools are ready to operate. So that's where we are right now. So as an instructor, it's so timely for him to deal with this subject matter today. Uh, uh, and so take it with that thought in mind. How can I receive it? And then how can I do my part in sharing it? Adam, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the introduction, and indeed it is a lot of energy there, Adib. Most of which I think is going to complement what I'm about to share is going to complement Nunetics and the foundation layout that Instructor William just laid out. So without any more delays from my end, let me just click share and um, I have a question. Actually, before I go into that, since everybody's on their computer, I wanted to sort of uh, pay homage to Nunetics in and of itself. One of the things, one of the things that I find important when you're starting any kind of business, um, uh, a school, anything that provides value to humanity, um, you really have to reflect. You have to kind of let go of the ego and make sure that what's being reflected is actually what's on the inside. So your values. I know that sounds cliche and it sounds very, very cheap, but quite often when you're speaking to somebody, there's usually a mask. This is obviously instructor has spoken about this in many lectures, but there's a persona, there's a mask. And so when it comes to an institution, when it comes to a business, when it comes to a brand, the number one thing that I like to emphasize is how do we align what people see with who we are. So the past few days I've spent a significant amount of my time in a very with a lot of excitement to be able to I spend a lot of time on the website basically to do just that, to reflect what Nunetics means. And so if y'all are ready, I'd like everybody here to go to nuneticsinstitute.org for me. So that we could sort of walk through everything at once. Just give me a minute. I'm going to give everybody a minute to go there. And then I'm going to share my screen in a second. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
So just to reiterate to everyone, because a lot of people are off camera today, and I know everybody's trying to get back into center. We didn't have a class last week. And then last week was, last Strong 7 was 8. So just to get back to center, let's try to remember to be on camera, come with our energy. And then also, if you haven't heard Adam clearly, he's instructing everyone to go to the Nunetics, Nuneticsinstitute.org. And he's going to help walk us through this new process. So as soon as you can, go to nuneticsinstitute.org, and then he'll take over.
That's right. And if you don't want to, that's okay. If you can see Zoom, I'm going to share my screen. Welcome everybody to the brand new institute. I wanted this to reflect professionalism. I wanted this to reflect all the values of Nunetics. Can everybody just
You broke up just a bit. So if you ask if we could see your screen, everyone, we can see the screen.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Okay, so basically on this brand new website, we have the ability to publish articles. So for you instructors who are qualified, we'll go through that in a second. One of the cool things that we'll be able to go through is I don't know if anybody can see this, but I am dragging a letter in the background. Can anybody see this? Instructor William, can you give me a thumbs up?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you just throw it into the hand, it pops up with an animation and gives you the actual the actual meaning, the body, the environment, and the abstract. So that's kind of a Easter egg for the children. And then as you scroll down the page, you're going to see a lot of hidden meanings here. So there's the letter Nun as a seed that germinates into the soil. The roots grow first, and the rest of the tree with different branches of letters. And then we get to the nitty gritty with publications and posts. So for those of you who would write, your publications would propagate over here. And in a second place, if you're looking to order books, for those of you who haven't, You can find the books here. I'm adding them as we go. And then another more value to the public as well would be just the actual alphabet of the Arabic language. You click on any of them, it'll give you the body, the environment, and the abstract. And then the rest of the page is sort of for the public who are unfamiliar with the format. As I was alluding to earlier, I wanted this to really reflect professionalism, at the same time show everybody the actual meanings of Nunetics. So there's that. I'm excited. I think it looks great. I want everybody's opinions, how we can improve this. At the tippity top, if you click articles, that's where you'll find all the articles. Right now, obviously, I only have 3, and that's just placeholders for books. But in the meantime, feel free to get excited and become a part of Nunetics. I want people to be able to write really good articles, really good essays, and that way we could add value to the public. So that when people come here, it's not just a place for it's not just a placeholder, to join class, but it's a place to actually learn. And the reason why I chose this theme and this aesthetic is because, as you can see, there's a watercolor set of hands. There's a deeper subliminal seduction to that, but I won't get into that now. But the watercolor theme will introduce the parents, children, to the idea of, okay, there's this theme that people associate with kindergarten and elementary school. There's very likely going to be in the future places for children to go, coloring books, probably products for children. But in the meantime, it'll definitely be just a theme and an aesthetic that provides value. And inshallah, in the future, as we go, it'll be a place for people to actually get licensed to be legitimate instructors. So for institutions and actual colleges and schools, and especially for homeschools. So I wanted the website to reflect that. I put a lot of time into this. And so without further ado, I'll be passing the talking stick to you, Noah.
Before you do, I love this, Adam. It was my first time seeing the upgrade. I love it. And I just want to remind my fellow class members what's the opportunity that's at hand right now. Imam Muhammad directed us to reshape the world, to remake the world. This is where it's done. So we have the opportunity right now to look at how we receive knowledge, how we're what's called being educated. We have the ground floor opportunity right now to take Nunetics and to put it in the form of articles and books, all types of content, so that we can step by step, begin to give some real serious direction. I'm telling you, the soil is ready. The soil is ready.
Indeed.
So we don't have to worry about cultivating the soil.
Salam alaikum. You know it's me again. I'm sorry. Adam, you hit that jump right out the ballpark, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
No, seriously. I know I'm using the we, but we're all one. That was an excellent job, man. I mean, you're diligent in doing what you see in your vision that supports Nunetics is powerful, man. I'm glad that I'm aboard, and I'm glad that you're here with us. And may the barakats, Nunetically speaking, it means blessings, continue to inframe you and focus you, because you're making an indelible imprint for Nunetics, and I know more than we appreciate. Thank you. We appreciate what you've done. Continue to do what you're doing.
Assalamu alaikum, Adam. I told you when you came, we've been waiting for you guys. That's excellent. I'm driving, and I did get to see some of the presentation that you did, but that's expansive. I love that. That's expansive right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank Instructor. He made this all possible. So
Alhamdulillah. Well, listen, this is a we thing, as I told you years ago, actually. I said it can't be done with just one person, you know. So when you run into people, oops, okay. I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear.
You can hear
Yep.
me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This can't be a one-person journey. Who wants to go on a journey by themselves? It's no fun. You know, you need other people like yourself because Allah created us to be social beings. So we're experiencing everything that humanity experiences just on a micro level. I'll be talking about that in a little while. So it's just great to see all of you. It's great to see your appreciation for Adam's work. And trust me, it is work. And it's just the beginning, is the scary part. You know, scary in the good sense. This is just the beginning. That's the wonderful thing about this work. You're looking at the small version of what this page and this website is going to be very, very shortly. And he has taken it from where it was, and he has actually put our website on par with the best of the best. And it's still going to get better. So let's do our part now. It's time for all of us to step up and kick in and contribute as much as we can financially, and also information wise. You know, as instructors, this is your chance. I don't know if another chance like this is going to come along where you're able to really put your ideas, your thoughts on page and have it presented to the world of people, whoever chooses to look at this website and beyond. So some of you are already authors, right? Your books, this is where they need to go. Wally, others, yeah, right. This is where they need to go. Amina, this is where they need to go. And there are others of you who are working on papers. They can be term papers for college, or it can be just random thoughts from your head. If they're concise and they make sense to the rest of us, you need to publish them. You don't need a special okay from me. I need to see it, but you don't need a special okay to share your thoughts. And this is the website in which you share your most intimate thoughts regarding Nunetics and regarding other subjects. All right. I will no longer do it all in the future. I will no longer speak to every issue in the future. My concentration is on you learning these letters because the letters represent your permission to go and grow as high as you want to go and grow. So thank you, Adam, for your work, and thank you all for the work that you will be contributing to this website.
Yes, that's amazing. I'm just happy to hear everyone's responses because when I looked at it, I was so excited. I was had the opportunity to see it in advance. So, Adam, you didn't hear my message, but it's just so much.
Boo, boo, boo.
So it's just so much elation. Like, really, that is the ultimate representation of what we all been working on for many years. And as instructor, Bilal has been training us, guiding us, leading us, helping us to live a better human life. This is a culmination of that in that one website. So really, thank you, Adam. Really, we many dua for you. I make a lot of duas for everybody on here. One especially for Adam because he's behind the scenes. We don't see, he's so humble. We don't really know how much he puts in and how selfless he can really be. So I just really want to give him a special thank you for
Yes.
that. And I'm super excited. I'm elated. There's so many writers on here. Baina, I'm just going to say that real fast. So this is your place. This is your chance to shine. And also, it doesn't stop at just publications. This can be videos. I'm more of an oratory performative person. I can do small 4-minute lessons, right? So there's other people who have their strengths in different areas. So we need to contribute to make this all worth all of the time and effort we put in. With that said, because I want to move things forward to respect time and our lovely Karima Medina Bilal, I'm so happy she's a part of the instructor group. I'm going to give a brief opener. Firstly, I just want to say to everyone, I know like a lot has been going on and everybody's adjusting to the new rates of the Nunetics group and Sunday sessions, adjusting to just life. Things are happening going up and down, but I just want to remind everybody that we need to stay committed to this because this is what we said that we want to commit to. And we also need to be in a position to try to spread the word. So we are at a place now where we have the perfect medium, and this is the perfect time for us to really expand and be as expansive as this knowledge has been put forth for us. So let's try to recommit to our class, to coming to classes on these Sundays. We used to turn out with 30 plus people. I know some people we might have filtered out, but we're at least short 8 to 10 people. So I'll ensure that we start reaching out to everyone and getting everybody to come back to these Sunday sessions, and then set up times for us to meet as, individual or in smaller pockets so that we can further our understanding and really commit the knowledge of the letters and understanding all of the parts to memory. With that said, I'm just going to do a brief opening, and I kind of just put this together in short. Firstly, I want to start by saying Imam W.D. Muhammad says that words make people. And as we start to evolve and we're in the age of technology and globalization, everything is right at a hand's reach. And I think people are really starting to catch on to the value and importance of really understanding the words that we use and making more informed choices. I think the word people are starting to grasp onto that. So with that said, although Nunetics, the term might be new, the whole idea and the concept is not new. So what is Nunetics? Nunetics is a way of learning and truly understanding language by going back to what we call seed letters, the original building blocks that carry core meaning. And I'm going to say that piece again. What we call is seed letters. And I want that to sink in for a moment, because when we were in school as children and we were starting to learn what they call grammar, we learned about root words. But Nunetics is understanding seed letters. So instead of phonetics or phonics, we have Nunetics. And the Nun in the Arabic lexicon is similar to the English letter N. It makes the N sound. And that sound has like a nasalization is what we call it. Like, what do you mean by nasal? You even say the word nose, nose, and the air is flowing through from your nose. And Nun, if you understand Nunetics, means a seed, or it's related in an environment to the seed. And we all know the value and importance of a seed. When you plant something, it starts with a seed. You can plant ideas into people you work with or into your family. You're planting a seed. And the hope of planting the seed is for it to grow and flourish, and all of the potential of what the seed can be to be able to come out over time with proper care, with watering, in the proper environment, and with nutrients, and quite frankly, and these are my words, love. Before we even get to root words, we have to focus on the seed letters as complete units of meaning on their own. Each letter carries its own ideation. As we mentioned earlier, seeds are potential ideas. And when letters come together, so if you have multiple seeds and you put multiple seed letters together, they don't just form a word, they form a complete concept. And that concept follows a pattern. So it's not just randomly put together, there's a pattern. In Nunetics, each letter is understood through 4 anchors. First is, what does that letter represent in the body? You're probably like, what do you mean by that? Well, for every letter, there is an equivalent representation of that in your own body, in your own physical being. Then the next part is, how is it conveyed in the environment? So as we mentioned with Nun, the letter N is like a seed, and we can see its seeds in the environment. And then what it means in an abstract meaning. So abstract is big picture idea, something that can be related on many different levels of understanding. We always have a base level understanding, then there's like the mid-tier understanding, and then there's this big picture understanding. That's the idea of what it means by an abstract. So it's like a conceptual sense. In essence, you plant the seeds of knowledge, or you plant the seeds of great behavior, whatever it is that you want to grow. So you see it in the environment, and you also see it as a big picture meaning. And then lastly, it's how it is corroborated with the Quranic root word structures. So we should be able to look at root words, whatever those words are, whether it's in the Quran or beyond, but we'll get there. You need to look at these words and see how that meaning manifests itself in the full root word. And then that could give you an opening into how that letter operates within the word. And while we use the Quranic roots as a reference point, this understanding is not confined to one particular physical book. It's part of a greater book, and I call that book of life. And Allah has already encoded that within our own being. So to understand how this works, we also have to define a few key ideas, and we'll keep them simple. The first idea is frequency. That word is a buzzword now. It's being tossed around. People talk about frequency and vibes and vibration. So we kind of get a sense of what that is. But what a frequency is consistent pattern or a vibration. However, it's assigned by our source creator, and it gives a letter its stability and meaning. So when you even hear a sound, that's a frequency. Or if you turn on the microwave, that's a different type of frequency. Or the fact that we're able to see and register the information that comes into our mind from light, all of that is frequency. There's a vibration and there's a pattern. It becomes so predictable, we don't even sense that it's a part of everything that makes us up. And when you hear the word frequency, you also hear the word frequent. And we know that when we frequent a location, I frequent the local gym around the corner, or I frequently do my studies every Sunday. Every Sunday I study. That's something I do with frequency. So it's repetitive, it's a pattern, and we don't think about it when we're thinking about seed letters. But to make the sound, that's a frequency because there's a vibration and there's a pattern. So then there's sound, and sound is the audible expression of that frequency. So audible as in as I'm speaking, or if you hear someone singing. There's even an app called Audible. And instead of reading the book, you'll listen to the book. And it's carried through the body, and then it's released into the world. And then we get all sounds come from everywhere because it's a frequency. Just like a quick side thing, sound is very likely our first way of learning. Because when we're in the mom's womb, we cannot see because our sight hasn't been developed yet. We can't conceptualize anything because our brains aren't developed, and we've been encased in our mother's womb to be protected and as an incubator to help us to grow before we enter into this other evolution and to evolution in the world. So, but the first thing they always say is when a woman is pregnant and she's nurturing her young, they say, read to the child, sing to your child, things that can help, nurture them. But that's the only way that we can, educate an infant in the womb. So the first way to learn or to perceive is through the vibrations of mom's voice. They wouldn't know the words that mom has said, but they will recognize that frequency. And then lastly is communication. And the communication is the transfer of that meaning. So it's through sound, through actions, through patterns, and that's between all of creation. We could communicate with one another as I'm speaking directly to you, but you could communicate with your plants as well. In that communication, we're transferring energy. The plant gives me oxygen, I give the plant carbon dioxide. So for a new student Nunetics is not just about learning some letters or just some words. It's about recognizing that meaning is already structured, it's already placed, and it's already knowable. The frequencies embedded within these sounds, placed by our source creator, we in what we call the Muslim community, we call Allah, all of that aligns with the fitra. If you never heard that word before, fitra, and this is another level of Nunetics, but we'll give you a little bit of insight, is connected to the word pattern. They have a consonantal connection. So you might not hear it right away, but that's okay, because the whole point is for you to get your mind to just open up. And then as we continue to dive in, you'll really learn. But fitra is connected to pattern. So the fitra is the natural patterns within us and around us that guide our intrinsic ability to recognize truth. So this is why Nunetics becomes something you just don't like study. You don't just study it. You start to recognize it first. And then you recognize it because it's already in you. So as we grow in this understanding, we are reminded that the signs are not distant and the signs are not so abstract that you can't reach it. They are shown within us and all around us so that we may come to know what is true. I have to pass this over to Master Instructor Adib. There is a Quranic verse that would sum this up so well, but I just can't remember the verse number, but it's about the instructing signs that are within us and all around us. If you can open up your mic, Instructor Adib, can you please state that Quranic ayah for me to close this out?
And the Quranic ayat is?
Instructing signs. I know it's above.
I'll do it this way. The instructing signs are in the heavens, in the earth, and in ourselves.
Thank you.
But I like to say the energy that's being put out by here. Can I speak to Nawa, please?
Yes, I have concluded my presentation, so yes.
No, what I'm saying is your personification is a whole new person from the person that first came through. You have locked in now. You know, you have to look at it and say it like the guy, like, there go my boy, right? That's my boy. I'm saying to you, you have energized what you learned and you carrying it through all the way through mind, body, and spirit. And man, I'm getting shocked. Each presenter, may Allah continue to bless us. But we have to give credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I think that we have to say international instructor Benjamin Bilal. Now, instructor is just not enough because of the work that's put in to what we are now. See, we're not dealing with C's, we're dealing
Yeah, you're
with
crazy. Tiny was drunk and he was drunk too. Talking about she talked to him last night.
I don't know. But we're talking about this bed. This bed that we have is very important. Like they say, this is the bed you make, you got to lie in it. And the bed we making now is Nunetics. And I think that we've all grown comfortable with our position is in. Shukran. Great work.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for that feedback. Truly, truly. So with that said, I want to pass the talking stick over to international instructor Benjamin Bilal.
Thank you so much. Can you guys still hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to ask William to step in for me for 5 minutes, and I'll be right back and be ready to present my thesis for today.
Yes. Again, we're really anticipating something very special. You know, Imam W.D. Muhammad told us some years ago, not too long before he exited this realm, that there was coming a time time that we're in right now, when there would be uh, an elimination of the human soul. And that's what we're experiencing right now. If you have not been uh, tuned in to what's going on throughout the planet right now, there is this movement to do just that, to put some type of a limitation or a cap on the expression of who we are as beings. But again, that's just a season. And Allah has created this this wonderful creation, as Nawa just so eloquently pointed out, uh, in patterns. And the pattern that operates is one of going from winter, as we're coming out of winter right now in this part of the Western Hemisphere, and we're coming into spring. And if that's any indication, as America has been deemed in the past to be leaders in the global environment, then this winter that we're coming out of, as we come into this spring season of life, is just an indicator of what responsibility those of us that have been gifted, again, don't want to use that word blessed, this word has been gifted with the opportunity now to reconnect, to remember, that's a reconnection, to remember the patterns that the source creator has put in this whole natural creation in Mother Nature. It's another word for the fitra, Mother Nature. We have the opportunity to reconnect. We're told in the Quran that if you if you want to know about human life, this is my understanding of what Allah gives us there, then look at the life of the plants. Look at the life of the plants. So it's time for us to come into a cosmic understanding. Again, a concept and a phrase that was given us during the time that Imam W.D. Muhammad was with us. He shared with us some lofty concepts, but there are time for those things to take root, if you will, right now in our consciousness, and to see the stem bursting out of the soil and coming into the light of day. So this human consciousness, as we see it revealing itself and seeing the stem opening itself up and producing the leaves, later the plants and the fruits or the vegetables or the flowers that will come out of that, we'll see it in its fullness. So while we come into cosmic understanding, which is what International Instructor Bilal will be sharing with us in just a moment or two, at the same time, we want to keep our feet firmly planted in the earth, on the earth. So as I pass the talking stick, I just want to encourage my fellow members of our class, if you're not growing something around your home, in your home, get busy doing that right now. Plant something, be very observant of the processes that you're going through as you plant and nurture that plant life, and think about it on a very micro level, also on a macro level, in terms of the expansion of your thinking. As we do that, we'll be right in tune with where Allah has us right now. So with that, I'll take this talking stick, pass it to my beloved brother, International Instructor Bilal.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I readily accept it. I happily accept it. This is a great day for us. If you've been with us from the beginning and you heard the presentation by Adam, followed by Nawa, you know that goodness is certainly on the rise and that we have a lot to look forward to, a lot to anticipate. So those of you who have not yet gotten into the ring, it's not scary. You're not going to get knocked out. Just step in and participate in the spirit of cooperation and sharing the information that you have, because as I've said on many occasions, the way to grow is to participate, not to be a sideliner, not to be a passive learner, okay? Be an active learner. That's the way to grow faster. You'll grow in the other way, but you won't grow as fast until you begin directly participating. And that participation can be you and a partner, you and two other people together making a presentation. It doesn't have to be just you. We know a lot of people are not cut out for that. You know, some people are a little shy and some people don't believe they can speak well and all of that. Well, I was all of that when I started speaking. I didn't know what I was talking. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know how to present it necessarily. And I had to do it in front of a high school audience. I had to get on stage and speak and introduce people and sound like I knew what I was talking about, like I know what I was talking about. That's something that you grow into, but you got to get started, you know? It's like training an animal, really. You got to start somewhere. And the first stage of that is just be obedient to what it is you're committed to. That's all. Just be obedient. You want your dog, your cat, or whoever, your horse to be obedient, you know? And that's the trail that we're on. So thank you. As I go to my notes, we're going to have a really good time today. We're having a good time already. We're going to have a better time because I have some things for you that I believe are going to really open up your psychic self to information that you already know, but also to information that you might not have been aware of or as aware of. And that's the beautiful thing. So let me find what I'm looking for here. Hold on one moment. Okay. And don't go anywhere because we're going to be followed immediately by Karima Medina Bilal, who's going to be giving you some information on health and wellness that is going to further elevate you. And if it's something that you don't feel you can personally use, I knew that it's going to be information that can help someone whom you care for, who you love, who you take care of, or who's in a situation to be able to benefit from the information she has to share. It's powerful information that you can't just get from watching the evening news. In fact, in some cases, the evening news doesn't want you to know what she has to say. So stay with her and continue to listen. Stand by. Okay. Can everyone see my notes?
Yes.
Great, great, great. Okay. So again, welcome to the UniverCity online learning course on this 29th day of March 2026. And as William pointed out to you, Instructor William, I should say Master Instructor William, and we're going to be upgrading some of these titles in just another week or so. There are people who are doing such a great job just being regular instructors that their presentations are now demanding that they get an upgrade. So stay tuned for that. But he is actually a master instructor. And master for me simply means that you can present to anyone. You can take a situation of knowledge and craft it so that it fits any audience's perspective because you're listening very carefully to what they have to say and you're tailoring what it is you're saying to meet the demands of their interest. That's what makes you a master instructor. Not that you can speak well, but that you can speak directly to the point of the people you're talking to your audience. And that's a wonderful thing. And we're growing into that. So I'm talking about universal systems of knowledge. And all of us have heard this phrase, systems of knowledge, because it was made popular by Imam W.D. Muhammad in his lifetime. This was his translation of the phrase al-alamin in al-Fatiha, or in the opening surah, which is literally called al-Hamd, surah of the praise. But we know it mostly as al-Fatiha, the opening. And it's the opening of what, instructor? It's the opening of the intellect, mostly. How to open up the human intellect for better results in managing this world, but particularly your life in this world. And that's what Al-Fatiha is designed to do. So, universal systems of knowledge. The source creator created the human being to come into the sciences of the universe. The word universe means one united verse. This universe begins with the self. Our individual self is merely a microcosm. Interesting that William used that word without looking at my notes. But this universe begins with the self, and our individual self is merely a microcosm of the entire universe's macrocosm, both of which contain systems of knowledge. An ayah is an instructing sign, but it is an instruction that is best used immediately. Immediately. So it's when you come into a certain level of perception, but when you come into that level, you need to share it. You feel this urgency in you to share this newfound information. That's what makes it an ayah. It's connected to the creation, it's connected to the oneness of creation, and it's connected to a particular urgency in the intellect to share the knowledge. Science is from the same root as schism, and it suggests separation. The word science is also related to the English word scissor, which means you're going to cut something into separate parts. So it always has to do with separation. You know that if you're in a schism or you have a schism, it's you separating yourself from somebody else's concerns or somebody else's interests or somebody else's issues. And that's a secondary kind of development that happens in the entire universe, not just in ourselves. But keep in mind that ourselves started also in the very same way that the universe began. And the universe began with oneness, not with separation. Allah says He created us as one, the human being and the universe, and we divided ourselves into separate situations. And Allah says that was done in order to test us, to test us. Think about that. Hold on to that for a moment. For the human, the ultimate benefit of knowledge, which is called ilm in the Quran, ilm, the ultimate benefit of ilm is the growth, development, and expansion of the human nafs, or the human soul. I want you to think deeply about this statement. For the human, the ultimate benefit, after all is said and done, is the growth, development, and expansion of the human nafs, or the human soul. Allah mentions in the Quran that the universe is ever expanding. The soul is the prototype for the universe itself, and therefore, whatever is happening in the universe is also happening for the human soul. Ilm, that word is a combination of the Arabic letters Ain, which refers to the eye or having sight or insight, Lam, which refers to the tongue and communication, and Meme, which is any life-giving liquid, such as water, of course, but also milk, also blood. All of these things are under the letter Meme. Along with the expansion of the soul comes an alternating contraction. And a contraction is intended to push things out that are no longer serving a viable purpose. We see this every time a baby is born. By the time the 8th to 9th month, maybe even the 10th month, if the baby's a little late, comes along, it has to then get rid of that which it has been nurturing and developing for all of those months. And if it doesn't, then the person carrying that load will be the one sacrificed, along with the baby in many cases. We see this every time a baby is born. As the womb expands, it then contracts, putting pressure on the life form to conform to a higher reality and expression. This also happens with knowledge. The more we grow in knowledge, and sometimes we even call it being impregnated with information, impregnated with the seeds of knowledge. And we have to grow along with the expansion of that knowledge in our psyche. We're going to be discussing this more individually and in more detail in the class on the human psychology that's coming up beginning next Tuesday. We'll be talking about the makings of human psychology, the purpose of psychology, and how psychology is actually the force that's ruling the world. And it's not the big guys with the big guns. It's actually psychology that rules the world. So stay tuned for that particular subject. So knowledge has to be born. We become impregnated with knowledge from day one of us being here, probably from when we're in the womb, but definitely when we exit the womb, we're becoming impregnated with the seeds of information that are coming to us from our immediate environment. And that knowledge has to grow and grow inside of our heads in the same way that the seeds are growing and growing in the earth and eventually producing for us all of this wonderful vegetation, herbage, food in most cases, something to sustain ourselves by, but it has to leave the smaller environment in deference to the larger concerns, the larger environment, and its eventual expansion. Man's mind is intended to feed upon the total creation, and the best situation for learning is in seeing the entire creation, not in its parts, but in its oneness. Isn't that wonderful? Yes. Although we're looking at different parts, we're looking at different continents, we're looking at different cities and states and things that we think are meant to be separate and separated by borders and walls and all of these other things that we're now presently separated by. That was not the intended outcome or the intended last stage of the development when Allah created it. Allah says He created us as one, and the world has to go back to its oneness. It's called Tawheed. It's in oneness right now, but it's not recognized by most humans habitating this planet. The oneness is not recognized. The separations are what are recognized now. The different so-called races, which is a made-up term, actually. There's no such thing as a race. We all know that we're humans, but we tend to see some humans as being lesser than other humans because of where they're born or because of the tone, the skin tone that they carry, or because of the language that they speak or the type of clothing or presentation that they wear. We think that it makes them inferior, but we're judging incorrectly. There's no such thing as, to be honest with you, any life form being inferior to another life form. But we don't have the knowledge yet. We have not grown into the perception of what creation actually is. And we think all of this is just fighting groups of life forms, fighting for dominance in the world. That's how it looks on the surface, but that's not the reality of what this creation is actually holding. So we're not seeing the creation the way it was intended to be seen. It was intended to be seen in its oneness, in its relatedness, not in its separations. The separations are only necessary in order to describe specific parts. See, when you go for an operation, that surgeon has to know the specific part that he or she is working on in order to do justice to the body. But he doesn't leave you to leave his office as an arm, as an eyeball. That's not how you leave his office. You leave his office as a whole person. And that's the focus of the Quran, to treat you as though you are part of a greater whole. That's called the Tawheed. Its oneness is also referred to as its wholeness, if you will. And the word whole is consonantally connected to the Quranic Arabic word halal, Halal, halal. So what is this saying to us, at least philosophically? It's saying that the word halal, representing the permissibility of what Allah allows, hmm, it means to permit something or something that is permitted or permissible. It's beautiful when you begin to learn the relatedness of many of these words that we thought were just separate words. But whole came from the word halal, and halal means permissible. So what does that tell you about the concept of wholeness or oneness? That if you really want to be permitted, if you really want to be included, you should start conditioning your psyche for oneness. That's when this country, America, began to make more progress, when it began to de-emphasize the differences and re-emphasize or emphasize sometimes for the first time the idea that humans are one, or at least the country is one. And when we came into that level of consciousness, we began to make progress like you wouldn't believe. What Allah is permitting is whatever comes with the growth and expansion. And whatever Allah disallows is as a result of its own disqualification. Let me explain this. If we're talking about human life, we're talking about a life form that qualifies and at times disqualifies. What it qualifies are those things that are congruent with its oneness, that are in agreement with its tawheed. And what it will eventually disqualify and eventually even dismiss are those things that cause this unnatural separation in the human life. This thing that separates your emotions from your intellect. The other thing that separates even your instincts from your emotions. It leaves the human being as a mess, just a just a total mess, because they're not congruent. They're not working together with the parts that were intended to be together by Allah's permission. And when you do that, you go against Allah because you're going against what Allah permits. And it's just a matter of time when you go against what Allah permits that you yourself become dismantled and no longer qualified for that great position. So Allah disallows things as he allows things or other things. And whatever Allah disallows is as a result of its own disqualification. So we disqualify ourselves. We think it's other people doing this to us, disqualifying us, or we think it's racism or sexism or chauvinism. Yeah, all of these things play a part, but they're not the major players in these conditioning movements in the world. The major players are based in a word that Nawa mentioned earlier, that is frequency. How are you vibrating? What is your frequency? And those things that have learned how to vibrate at a higher rate of frequency, they are literally untouched by those things that are of lower frequencies. The reason why most people are suffering as we speak is because they are unconsciously or subconsciously agreeing to vibrate at a lower frequency than intended by Allah. And again, they thereby eliminate themselves. Let us continue. Now, I believe this to be true for human life also. Those who survive human evolution do so by maintaining the excellence inherent within their structure. What do I mean by excellence? It's in the word excellent, which comes from the word excel. Ex means to leave or to go out. And the remaining word there is cell. So it's whatever is inside of the cell has to learn to leave the cell or to express itself outside of the cell. The cell is literally a cell, like they call a jail place that they hold criminals or people for trial or whatever. They call those cells because what the cell is not just supposed to be out frequenting with any and everybody. No, it's a holding pen even. So excel means that you have to learn to take the value that is in the cell and express it outside of the cell. You're in the cell just for a particular level of discipline. You have to achieve a discipline before you can be free. These are life lessons, but they exist in physics and in biology and in chemistry and in all of the instructing signs, the ayat, that have been provided for us by our source creator. So those who survive human evolution, meaning the people on earth who are here now, we're survivors within the construct called human evolution. We're not the people who lived 1,000 years ago or 5,000 or a million years ago. We're not the same people. Whether we're better or worse, who can really say? But we do know that we're here, and we do know that progress has been made in the human sphere. Progress has been made to the point where we can say that we are an advanced civilization, maybe not more advanced than what was in ancient Egypt or in ancient Mesopotamia or whatever ancient societies we like to raise our eyebrows over. But nevertheless, we can say and should still say that we have evolved. It doesn't always have to be on a physical or materialistic level that the evolution is taking place. Sometimes it's the evolution taking place in the human spirit or in the human soul. Many levels of qualification when it comes to evolution. I like to always say that you can even see the word love hiding in the word evolve. Because that's the main frequency you need in order to evolve. The people who have wealth and riches and strength and armies and all of those things, The one thing that many of them do not manifest is love. And I don't mean this soupy kind of love. I'm talking about a love that holds the binding materials that create worlds together. That's love. The forces and the influences that hold your family structure together. That's even though you have to be critical sometimes of your children and what they do, or your parents have to be critical of the things that you do, or sometimes we have to be critical of what our parents are doing to us, around us, for us, right? But that's still love. And that's still a part of our evolution because if we pass that information on, see, if we pass that information on to our future generations, those generations more than likely are going to be better situated for life and advancement in life than we were. And that's how you evolve your generations, by not accepting lesser standards. You'll still love them, you'll still care for them, you'll still pray for them, you'll still work with them, but you won't accept mediocrity from them. Not from your children, from your grandchildren, not from your neighbors' children. You won't accept mediocrity. You will always encourage excellence. That's how you evolve the generations. So we're maintaining that excellence. And those who do not survive, it is due to the abandonment of principles that were clocked into the creature's DNA. There are principles that Allah clocked into the DNA, and often those principles no longer conform to Allah's protocol for life. Allah has a particular way of evaluating life. You see the word value and evaluate. Allah has a particular way of evaluating life principles, evolution, advancement. And if we're not conforming to that advancement, then nature via the fitrah eliminates us. Because now you don't only have a biologic problem, you don't only have a problem in science, you have a problem in the soul department. Your soul is retrogressing. You'll have this human body, the body may not have gone anywhere, but the soul has been diminished. The soul has become clinically sometimes retarded. Your soul can become clinically, your soul can diminish so much that you begin to have physical problems. We therefore systematically eliminate ourselves by eliminating the attention paid to excellence that our instincts are calling for. It's in your cell, the core of your cell, that excellence is brewing and seeking to be released so that it can improve the circumstances of your life and the life forms around you. Human extinction has less to do with physical elimination and mostly to do with the elimination of our soul qualities, like intelligence. That's a soul quality. Compassion is a soul quality. Our ethical concerns, how we feel about other people in our space and time, and how we treat them, even if we don't know their names. What kind of assistance are we giving to creatures who are in need of help that exist around us? The loss of these human traits or characteristics eventually delivers what was once generational human life, meaning advancement that came with the generations just naturally. As the next generation came in, the generation before them taught them the lessons of life, taught them the trades, taught them how to work together with other people. As other people came into the picture, they expanded the picture of humanity to include different ethnic groups and different ethnic concerns and different foods we began to enjoy, and learning about different languages. This is the evolution of the human being, the human life, generational evolution. So it delivers what was once generational human life into the pool of existence. The Quran refers to as asfala safilin. So as the generations continue to accrue, but less attention is paid to these human elements, such as compassion and intelligence and ethical concern and assisting other people who are lesser off than you, and you don't pay attention to those anymore. You start thinking it's all about you and your generation, like the mafia used to do. It's about my family. Well, the more you do that, the more you consign yourself to the pool of existence that the Quran refers to as asfala safilin, translated as the lowest of things considered low. Allah says He created us fi asani taqweem, at the highest pinnacle of evolutionary generation. But we render ourselves to be the lowest of the low because of our lack of attention to these important matters of human life. The soul is the soil for man's mind. And wherever he takes his mind, he can grow there. Those are words from Imam W.D. Muhammad. The soul is the soil for man's mind. And wherever he takes his mind, he can grow there. Allah says in the Quran that He created us to grow like plants grow. A plant is not going to say, I'm not going to grow because this is poison ivy. The poison ivy gets the same opportunity to grow as the flower bed that holds roses and lilies and all of these beautiful things that we like to have in our environment. But the poison, toxic plants to human life or to other life forms, they get the same attention as long as they get the same opportunity for growth. This is why we have what we're calling evil in society, because we're giving it an evil environment, and all of the things necessary to grow evil are here, and no one is attempting to do anything about it. That's when you have an evil environment. It's not God doing anything to you. It's you punishing yourself by not paying attention to important matters in your life, in your family's life, in your individual life. So the person who understands this connection to the soil and how the soul is developed by attention to the soil of the soul, this type of man or mind is universal and lives within each and every one of us. This is what we're referring to often as cosmic man. And it is true for both males and females. Man is not a biology. Man is a psychic makeup. Man refers to the way the mind is constructed. The word male is referring to your biology. The word mind is referring to your psychology. We are one from another, as the Quran tells us, which means that we, males and females, are essentially the same substance. The Quran calls it nafsin wahida, which means one essence or soul. As we develop, we grow into different roles, but both are referred to in the Bible and the Quran as Adam. So as you read your scriptures and you see the name Adam, stop thinking that it's an individual that's being spoken about. Adam represents a two-ness, not a oneness. It represents a two-ness in terms of its structure, which includes the properties that are inherited by both males and females. The Bible says, and we named them Adam in the day we created them. It never speaks about Adam as being one person, but we're so busy being blindsided by the explanations for Scripture that we miss the real meaning that has been placed in Scripture by Scripture itself. In the Quran, it says, in time, we shall make them fully understand our messages through what they perceive in the utmost horizons of the universe and within themselves, so that it will become clear unto them that this revelation is indeed the truth. That's from Surah 41, Ayat 53. Someone, I believe it was Nawa, who asked Adib, yes, Imam Adib Abdullah, the question about where in the Quran it speaks about the connection between the skies and the earth. Well, this is one of the places that speaks somewhat to it because it's talking about the messages or the ayat that are in the universe, the utmost horizons, which are the skies, and within ourselves. Yeah, right here on earth, there are instructing signs. And Allah says He's going to make them abundantly clear, not just for Muslims, not just for Jews or Christians or Buddhists or whoever you think are the people who received scripture from God, but He's going to make it abundantly clear for humans. In another ayat, Allah says, we have explained in detail in this Quran for the benefit of who? Mankind, human beings. Every kind of similitude. We've explained every kind of, for Muslims, no. We've explained every kind of similitude, but man is in most things contentious. He likes to argue a lot. The human being, he likes to argue. But this is only when he's coming to a certain level of what he thinks is knowledge. He begins to be contentious. He begins to think he knows better or best. This is human life. But pay attention to the words that Allah is using. Here he's using the term al-insan, which is different than the term an-nas. This is an-nas. This is al-insan. Allah is teaching us through the differences in these very words. We're not going to get into the details of that right now. Suffice it to say that Nas represents humanity on a curiosity level. Nas is curious. Nas is consonantally connected also to the English word nose. And you know, your nose is a symbol of curiosity. You tell people sometimes, stop being so nosy. Mind your own business, right? Because the nose has always been a symbol. You see the animals using their noses all of the time, especially the dogs. They're looking for something. They're suspecting that something is there. And because they keep using the nose, they get into trouble very often because they're always sticking their noses where their noses don't belong. And that's been human beings. So Allah gives us the term nas and emphasizes that particular quality in the human being. But it's the very curiosity in the human being that's helping his mind to grow. Yeah, it's like the child who keeps messing with stuff that you told it not to mess with, or is over in the corner doing something he ain't had no business or no permission to do. But he's doing it. That's helping the human psyche to expand along the lines that we were discussing just moments ago.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did you say for? I didn't see it because it. You said that I was talking about the ayats, and you what ayat did you use?
I used for this
Oh,
one
right,
here,
right, right.
yeah,
Yes.
4153, and I didn't
Yes.
list the ayat for this one here, but you can look it up.
No,
Yeah.
I seen it. I seen it. Okay, shukran.
All right. Thank you. Very good. All right. So Nas is representing curiosity. And in the word curiosity is the word cure. So sometimes the cure doesn't taste good, but it's going to help your situation. So let your mind stay curious. And this is the point in our human mind's development when everything is news. You see these consonantally connected words, two different languages, but they connected through their consonants. Nas, news. And people are very curious about the latest news. The gossipers, the other people who are out here minding everybody else's business, as they call it. They're very, very curious about the latest and the greatest of what's going on the block, what's going on in the government, what's going on. They need to know what's going on. And very often they lose sight of what's going on in their own souls, in their own human lives. So that's what needs to be watched. Not everybody else all of the time, but what's going on in your own core, what Allah calls your nafs. An abundance of this news we're talking about will eventually create noise. Same consonantal connections, the N and the S. An abundance of what the NAS is feeding off of as information will become too much. And it will begin to do nothing but create unnecessary noise. And that noise will begin to manifest in the intellect, called the aql, the intellect, the aql. The al-insan is not curious. He's beyond that point. Al-insan has begun to accrue information that is feeding his intellect directly. So insan is more related to the intellect's progress or demise, because the insan, al-insan, becomes contentious. He becomes rival oriented. He thinks he has to have an enemy to fight. He thinks he has to prove a point. He's ego driven, and he has to prove a point that he's smarter than the next guy, that he's better at something than the next person. So that's the challenge for El Insan. He's contentious. This ayat here is talking about Al Insan when it says, but man is in most things contentious. Insan, right here.
Instructor, I have a question as well.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as like the levels of humans, is Nas like would that be a higher level of the intellect, or is an insan is like a level below that?
Well, here are the steps. You have the
Okay.
ins. There's something that the Quran calls the ins, or the ants sometimes, or the uns.
Is that intuition?
Yes. That's the level where we're first trying to figure things out. Then you have nas, where if you're not careful, you can create a life that is nasty and eventually not worth living. That nas, though, is when the human nose is so wide open from trying to know everything that it can create its own demise. Or if it's disciplined, a word I used earlier, then it can learn to rise above its curiosities. And Allah says that He created male and female so that they might know each other. But it means so that they might be curious about each other. That's why He created you. We weren't all born in the same region. We weren't all born in the same countries. We weren't all born in the same atmosphere or weather patterns or anything. So everything that we bring to the table is different very often than what other people are bringing to the table. And we have to now learn how they're surviving in the cold. or how these other people are surviving in this extreme heat or extreme rain, like in the rainforests of the world. So we're constantly learning about human life in different parts of the world. And that curiosity to know is what is growing that part of them that is called anas. Pretty soon they've met so many people and they've learned so many things from different parts of the earth or different parts of our world that we're creating that we become ego driven in the intellect. That's where Iblis, Shaitan, and all of these other creatures are born. But they're not born out there waiting to get us. They're all born right in here, right within the parameters of the human intellect. Now, you might not understand that right away, but listen to some previous classes or some previous YouTube videos. Just put my name and the word and the word shaitan in the same sentence, and you'll come up with a nice array of information where I'm speaking to the creation of Satan or shaitan. And you'll understand that it has nothing to do with a separate being as such that attacks us at night or in our sleep or, when we're thinking evil thoughts. You're not, the very fact that you're thinking evil thoughts means Shaitan is already with you. And he wasn't created by the booger bear or the boogeyman. He was created by your frequencies not being attended to, not being watched, not being supervised or disciplined. And those frequencies were allowed to fall and become matched with another low frequency that you weren't aware of. And that's the beginning of Shaitan in the human life. So we'll talk on that at some point in the near future. But thank you for that question. So this contentious level that we come into is the point where we are learning to live socially. That's the only point in which you can become contentious, because before that, you were family groups and tribes. Allah said he created you as nations and tribes so that you would learn to be curious about each other. So that's the point at which we grow from being just nations and tribes into being social and socially corresponding people. So now we have to learn all of the things and the lessons that go along with social interaction. That's where the world is today. It's fighting a wonderful fight. In many places in the world, it's losing because human beings don't want to pay attention to social etiquette. See, even the English word etiquette comes from the word taqwa. We don't want to pay attention to the taqwa factor that needs to be understood before we can progress further up the ladder of human excellence. So, in the growth and development of the human body, we know that after the baby is born, when it reaches the age of about 2 years old or so, it comes into something that is universally referred to as the terrible twos. Yeah, you probably noticed that or have noticed that in your own children. You wouldn't have been conscious enough to notice it in yourself. But when you're looking at your child and they turn 2, that's the point when they start telling you no. You ask it to go do something that, last year it would have readily done. It's no, I don't want to do that. Right? That's about 2 years old. But it's also the point where we begin to grow as an independent thinker. And the first word, keep in mind, in the Shahada is also no. The word la, la. Yeah, that's a word that we teach to our children. We put it in all kinds of songs. We put it in our love songs. La la means I love you. And we usually sing, if we don't have words for the song, we just say la 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 la. It's a psychic thing. It's a psychological thing. But we have to say no in order to develop an independent mind. You have to be suspicious enough in a proper way to be able to say no to some things that you eat. You say, no, 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 thank you. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not going to. Oh, it's good, man. I've been eating this. Well, you've been eating that for the, you go ahead and continue eating that. But I'm not going to feed my children that. No, no, thank you. We'll take some of the other stuff, but no, not that, whatever that meat is. We're not going to do that. So when that mind becomes that level of independent, intelligently independent is what I'm speaking of, that's when the human being begins to make psychic progress. See? So with that said, that's the end of my presentation. And I'm thankful to be able to give you this short presentation.
Boo, boo, encore.
It's a contradiction, isn't it? It'll be all right. Yeah. So this is wonderful. I like your smiling face, Adib. You bring joy to my heart every time I see you and hear you. And it's the same for most people here. I should say all people here when you speak up. I love seeing you in the audience and I love hearing you in whatever questions you might have. So does anyone have any quick questions that need to be answered? Or am I free to hand the microphone over?
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Right, it's not about your presentation. It's just about a few members of our group. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, and I just kind of came to my mind. I want to know if everybody was okay. Start there.
I'm
You're asking for the
okay.
one. You're asking for the ones who you can't see or the ones that you see but haven't said anything.
The ones who are not in the class.
Physically, you mean people who are who are in this class, but you haven't seen their cubes, they haven't seen their pictures.
I've seen them in the queue,
Yeah,
correct? Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a good question. But I think that's a technical issue that Adam and I are going to look into because it used to be that we could see everybody who actually joined the class. And for some reason now we're only seeing a select few. I don't know if the Zoom
Oh, okay.
system is doing that. I think it might be more Zoom than the people
Oh,
who are, it might be cutting people off at a certain number, or I'm not
okay.
sure. I know it didn't used to do that, but it does that
Oh,
now. So
okay.
they're not only 9 or 10 people in the class, there are many people. There are sometimes, few dozen people in the class, but they're not being registered. But we're not going to let that bother us. They'll hear it. And I believe that if they need to say something, they can. Yes, Karima, please.
I'm sorry, but I had another event and I missed Adam and Nawa presentation.
Mhm.
Can I have a copy?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Oh, yeah. That's a rhetorical question. You're
yeah,
definitely going to
I
get a
want to
copy.
hear it because I was missing, but I was driving.
It's okay. We thank you for making the effort to be here, which you are every week. I don't think you've missed a week yet. So for sure, you'll be one of the first ones that we email it to.
Okay,
All
very
right.
good.
And portions of what everybody said will end up on YouTube at some point before the day is done. This was a tremendously informative day for us in terms of what we're doing and the direction that the Nunetics itself is taking in the world. And we want other people to feel it. We want other people to experience it and get with it. We want other people to join our ranks. If you're hearing this and you're realizing that it's something that you haven't heard before or you haven't gotten before in your other academic environments, then know that this is the place to begin that journey. And what we're doing is AI proof. I'll explain that in next week's class. It's AI proof. I'm looking at all of these people who are boohooing, whining, and crying about AI taking over their jobs and taking over their life, and they're of no more value now because AI is here. Well, you need to join on to something that is greater than AI. And what's greater than AI is what Mother Nature is providing for you. Mother Nature's not going anywhere. So if you're getting information that's extracted directly from Mother Nature, how are they going to get rid of you? How is your job going to ever be over? When a robot can't give you what I'm giving you through Nunetics and what the class is giving you through their discoveries, they can't, come on, they can't give you that. That's why I sit here unworried about our future and unworried that we're a relative few people right now. That's just for right now. I'm kind of glad we're this number right now, because as we continue to grow, your responsibility is going to be overwhelming. And this period right here is for you to prepare yourself for the inflow and the influx of people and information and discoveries that you will be making, not me. You will be making because you're studying the same nature that I'm studying, the fitra. That's the key. So thank you for that question. Does anyone else have any questions before I hand the microphone over? All right, this is great. We're ahead of time today, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to hand my microphone over. Let me ask my wife, did you send me any notes?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, so you got to give me a couple of minutes as you open up, and I'll go retrieve those and be right back.
Assalamu alaikum. Instructor Bilal, before you get started, I just want
Yes.
to ask you a question quick. I mean, today's Palm Sunday for Christians. So I think the word for it is the Zabur. Can you explain that?
Well, Zabor is what they're calling the Psalms. Did you
Yes.
say? Did you
It's
say?
Psalm Sunday today.
Yeah. Uh, no, I'd rather not get into that. That's like a whole nother topic,
All right.
and a
Okay. Another time.
whole different religion. But if you ask me that same
All right.
question, well, you ask me that same
I'm gonna
question.
research. I'll research. No problem.
Oh, I know you will.
Okay.
That's your middle name. Research. It's
Does
great.
an
Great to hear
excellent
you.
job too. Baina does an
Alhamdulillah.
excellent job, man.
Oh, who you telling? Who you
I,
telling?
I gotta wipe my glass go, so I'm in her dust, man. she, she,
Hey,
she
that's where
gone.
she'll leave you if you ain't careful. If you're not studying, that's exactly where Bayina will leave you,
That's
in the
right.
dust.
That's right.
All right.
Alhamdulillah.
And she's another one who's on her way to what we might call a raise in her Nunetics status.
Well,
So
without any
prepare.
further ado, Sister
Yes,
Karima
indeed.
Medina Bilal is getting ready to get
Well,
on the set.
yeah, but you see, you don't have the privilege of introducing her. I do.
Yes, sir. Yes, my mouth is shut. I'm
All
clicking
right.
myself off.
Okay. So let's bring her on while I go retrieve her notes. Karima Medina Bilal.
Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And if my Christian brothers and sisters are observing Palm Sunday or any other holiday at this time, I wish you whatever favor would be construed upon you by the Creator. As you know, I'm Karima Medina Bilal, and I did something for myself in the last week or so. I splurged and I bought a bunch of books. And there are a few things that please me as much as a good read. A good read. A good read defined by me is one that contains information that I can use and is presented to me in a way that is easily absorbed. Tedious books bother me and bother me a lot. But I truly do enjoy books that make me think and that give me things that I can share. So, that being said, hold on one second. I am striving here to make a recording that I can, there we go. This presentation is the result of having consumed with gusto, with great relish, a book by an author who I enjoyed so much that I bought maybe 5 of his books. And by grace, they all came at one time. And that meant that Instructor Bilal and the rest of the family did not get dinner. It was street food, or it was frozen food, or it was some other kind of food, which kind of flies in the face of what I'm about to speak with you about. But nonetheless, it tells you how deeply I jump into books that I read. This particular one, it explained so many things that plague mankind, that plague me, that plagued my family, that I felt obligated to bring the information to you. And the name of that book, or before that, the name of the presentation I'm going to make, is called Hidden Food Allergies. Is what you eat making you sick? Is what you eat making you sick? And that, to me, was just huge. It was absolutely huge. And I'll jump right into it. And I'll ask Instructor Bilal, give me slide number 3. As you know, whenever I speak with you, I remind you of the basics. And the basics are what I believe to be the tenets, the foundation of sickness and healing. Those being the following. And if you're interested in that, I got that from a doctor named John Tilden, Tilden, John Tilden. Look him up on Amazon or World of Books, which is where I got my books. I put the information at the end of the presentation. John Tilden, and he gave me what these fundamentals I present to you are. That is, the fitra, nature, Allah, the creator, created all organisms to exist in a specific environment. When you give that organism that environment, then the organism thrives. This is universal. For this reason, saltwater fish do very well in salt water, the ocean. Freshwater fish do very well in fresh water. Animals that prefer stagnant water do very well in swamps. Deprive that organism of that environment in which it was created to thrive, and the organism will sicken and die. That is no different for the human being than it is for the other parts of creation. Remember this, every time you hear anything on the internet, anything in the news, anything from your doctor, anything from the hospital, remember, the environment cannot be separated from the sickness. The health of the organism cannot be separated from the environment in which it exists. Internal environment, external environment. Next slide, please. I want to make an analogy between a car and the human body, between fuel and food. Imagine a luxury car. And I ask you to do this, those of us who might be driving hoopties, those of us who are driving nice cars, those who are driving luxury cars. Just imagine whatever car you are driving, that it runs on a specific type of fuel. It might be, if you have a Tesla or an electric vehicle, it runs on electricity. If you have a truck or a diesel car, it runs on diesel. And the average one of us drives a car that runs on unleaded gas. Might be premium, might be regular, but it runs on gas. So if you put oil in the gas tank, which does not belong there, it belongs in the oil system, then the car will not run right. If you put diesel in a car that runs on gas, it's not going to run right. If you put gas, even the best gas, premium gas, into a Tesla, you will kill the car. Well, you can't do it because there's no way for you to do it. But should you persevere and strive to fit the gas nozzle or somehow pour gas into the outlet that it connects to the electricity, you're going to kill the car. Eventually, it will lose power if it runs at all, and eventually you will ruin the engine. The same is true for the human body, which is the most sophisticated, the most intelligent vehicle ever created. Elon Musk has nothing on Allah. There is no car anywhere in the world. There is no machine, AI notwithstanding, that can touch the human being, which was created by the Creator, whom we call Allah. The human body runs on food. That is its fuel. It runs on real food, not ultra-processed food, not fake food, real food, clean air, pure water. When you give it that fuel, it will run very well. If you give it fuel which it was not designed to run on, you will eventually lose power, ruin your body, sicken, and die, which is the usual course of the average American, the usual course of the average person in so-called first world countries, right? People in third world countries, they have something of an excuse. They often, I'm thinking of the videos I've seen on India and recycling in India. They do not have clean air very often because they burn their trash. They certainly do not have access to filtered clean water like we do. And the result, other places in Africa, South America, the quote unquote underdeveloped countries, these people frequently have diseases of the environment, bad air, dirty water. And interesting to note, the countries which have allowed American food, unprocessed, highly processed food, highly preserved, highly colored, highly flavored with artificial colorants and preservatives, they have developed many of the same diseases that first world countries have. I'm thinking specifically of Haiti. Haiti is supposed to be the poorest country in the world. And yet those people who have food scarcity, food insecurity, they have an obesity problem. That should make your head go like that because you wonder, how can that be? And one of the answers for that is American food aid, US food aid. Let your mind rest on that for a second. Next slide, please. So generally speaking, what do most people eat? What kind of fuel do most people put into their luxury vehicle that's called the body? Most people put in it what's convenient. We live in a society that's a 24-hour on-the-go society. So food becomes secondary to whatever endeavor you're pursuing. Maybe it's your job. I remember working and having only 30 minutes to eat. Now, even if I brought my food, which I did most times for financial reasons, if not quality reasons, that means you better eat it and eat it fast. You don't even have time to really enjoy it because you're already thinking of, okay, I got to walk to where I can eat it. I got to heat it up. Then I've got to eat it. And then I got to get back to where it is that I'm supposed to be, my station, in 30 minutes. Recipe for indigestion. Most people eat what is affordable. unfortunately, we saw a video on ramen noodles and how absolutely poisonous ramen noodles were or are. Interestingly, in countries where ramen noodle, I'm thinking Japan, and I'm thinking Vietnam, they call the soup that they eat ramen noodles in PHO. I don't know if that's pronounced po or pho, but that's different than that dried stuff you get that's a square, a hard square in a plastic package with a small flavor packet that has absolutely nothing in it that God made. What do we eat? We eat what we like. There are certain foods that I know are good for me, but I don't like them. So I'm not throwing any shade on anybody. We're programmed to eat what we like. I am programmed to eat what I was told to eat, which was based upon what I was given to eat in childhood. And that was based upon what my parents could afford. That was based upon my parents saying, my job is to keep you alive. I'm sorry if you don't like it. This is the best I can do. When you get a job and you're making money and you can buy your own food, then you can buy what you like. And if I give it to you, you better eat it. Don't you dare waste my food that I had to work so hard to provide. And lastly, but not exclusively, we eat what the media tells us to eat. I remember binge watching Frasier, had just over the holiday season, could not wait to get to the next episode of Frasier, and it just goes one right after the other. And in that, there's commercials, being a streaming station. And in this commercials, they're showing you pizza, they're showing you buffalo wings, they're showing you all kinds of junk that you have no business to eat. And even though we had eaten a full meal, and we strive to stop eating by no later than 8, ideally 7, but no later than 8, we found ourselves wanting to snack. Yeah. So media and media influence, very powerful in getting people to eat. And the government, to my sadness, the government is complicit with big food in telling you what are the best foods to eat. Set aside snacks, set aside commercial food. They're telling you, or they used to tell you, that eating 6 to 12 servings of carbohydrates every day was good for you. They were telling you that fat was bad for you. Butter, lard, which people have been eating for centuries, bad for you. Instead, eat these highly ultra-processed seed oils that are produced with hexane and other kinds of chemicals. That you should eat. Margarine, much better than butter. All influenced by the food lobby. And what did we come to find out? The more people embraced that, the higher the rates of obesity, diabetes, heart disease. Interesting. So we've been misled to put the wrong fuel into our luxury vehicles. This is why I'm very grateful for this book. Next slide, please. I want to introduce you to 3 terms that you may or may not have heard of: food allergy, food sensitivity, and food intolerance. This means that you can have good food, clean food, food you grow yourself, food that comes from organic farms, organically produced, without colorants, preservatives, or any of those other things that I just mentioned, and still be quite sick and still have a bad response to it. Next slide, please. Yes. So let me explain to you what's the difference between food allergy, food sensitivity, and food intolerance. Food allergy is pretty simple. But bottom line is you're putting the wrong food or fuel in your tank. And what if doing that, what if the sickness, disease, and illnesses are really allergic reactions to the food that we're eating? What if we stopped doing that? We stopped putting oil in the gas tank. We started putting the right fuel, the right foods that we could use, that we could combust the way an engine does, that we could break down, metabolize, and use. What if we put the right ones in there? Could we reverse the sickness, disease, and illness that we currently suffer from? And what if we could do it without drugs? What if you could do it on your own? What if you could do it in collaboration with a righteous practitioner who is informed about the differences between allergy, food intolerance, food sensitivity? What if you could find out specifically what those things are? Wow. What difference could that make in our lives? Next slide, please. So food sensitivity, food allergy, food sensitivity, allergy, or sensitive, oh gosh. Food allergy, food intolerance, food sensitivity. These are three different ways that your body responds to the food that you put in it. Now let me give you a bit of anatomy here. When we eat food, it goes into our digestive system. The digestive system begins with the mouth and it ends terminally at the anus. It's where food exits. The tube that links the mouth to the anus is approximately 20 plus feet long, and it's called your intestines. Different parts of it, your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, rectum, anus. Big overview. Well, that system is aligned and lined with your immune system. 40% of your whole immune system exists in concert with your digestive system. And it makes perfect sense when you think of it. You would want your troops to be stationed at entry points. You have to protect your borders. Now, when we put in food that the body does not understand and interpret as friends, has not been programmed by the creator who invented it, who designed it, who manufactured it, and made it so, the body begins to interpret food not as friend, but as an invader, an undocumented alien that came in without permission. We gave it that permission. We let it in, but body interprets it as an invader. And when that happens, it activates the body's defensive systems. And what happens? Well, there are three main types of responses. Immune reactions. The first of them is pretty common. The names of the troops, for simplicity's sake, the names of the troops are antibodies, reactions to things that have come into the body. You could call them first responders. And that the first group is called IgE. IgE. This represents the immediate reaction. Now, those of us who have allergies, true allergies, IgE allergies, this is what happens when you get a bee sting, when you eat seafood, when you eat peanuts. Nobody has to tell you that you are allergic, truly allergic to that food because the reaction is immediate, it's noticeable. Some of us will get itching, swelling, hives, the eyes swell up. You get a rash, a red, itchy rash. Some of us will have what's called anaphylaxis. This is life-threatening. This is where the tongue, the lips, the airway swell up, and unless a person has an EpiPen or is taken to a medical facility where drugs to suppress the immune system, suppress the reaction are administered and administered quickly, the person could die. It's lethal. But less known are things like asthma, epilepsy, people that have a terrible, terrible disease, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease. Both of these are diseases or illnesses which affect the intestine. They cause severe inflammation of the lining of the gut to where they actually have bleeding. It's horribly painful, it's cramping, and ultimately it becomes a true drain on life, and people suffer and suffer with it in pain. It's misery. It's true misery. So, and take away from this, IgE, immediate, think life-threatening, swelling, eyes, could be vomiting. But think what happens if people are allergic to bees. That's the most common thing. Next slide. Less known, but much more common, much less testing is done for what's called IgE. So think of, in military terms or law enforcement terms, think of the police or think of the ambulance. These are the first responders. That's your IgE. The second ones would be more when you send in your National Guard. Now, most people do not connect the dots between illnesses that they experience and food allergies or food sensitivities, because with food sensitivity, food intolerance, there are no observable symptoms. There's no swelling, there's no any of that. And with food sensitivities, there are responses, but they may be 2 days, 3 days, as long as a week from the time that the person ingested them, drank them, or eat them. It's connected to well over 100 diseases. Here's some examples: depression, ADD, bedwetting, autism, fibromyalgia. If you only knew how many people have been sent to psychiatrists for fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue, the chronic muscle aches, and after a while, since there's nothing, they don't test for it. People test when a person comes to the ER or goes to their physician with an immediate reaction, urgent care. Very often, testing is recommended for that. So they learn what other things they have immediate reactions to. But that's 5 out of 100 times, maybe as much as 20 out of 100 times. But this one, rarely, 80% of people that suffer with these kinds of diseases are ever tested for food sensitivity or food intolerance. Anxiety, panic attacks, insulin-dependent diabetes, type 1 diabetes, epilepsy, chronic fatigue. Very important here to look at for just a moment, insulin-dependent diabetes or type 1 diabetes. Can you imagine that the process behind this is preventable? When they give a child formula, cow's milk, can even be soy if the person's got a sensitivity or an intolerance to soy. And the child is given this, maybe they don't have rash, maybe they don't have any of that, but underneath the surface, the body's antibodies, these IgG things, are confused by the body and attack the pancreas. Because it's thought that type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune, the body attacks itself, reaction to cow's milk, cow protein, a casein, a protein in milk. And yet we are giving our children cow's milk, even if the child is breastfed. After a certain age, the child is weaned from the mother's breast, and then the child is given milk, because we are told that milk strengthens bones. If you investigate that, you'll find it isn't the milk protein that does that. It isn't calcium that actually is the strengthener of bones. It's vitamin D, it's boron, it's silica, it's zinc, right? Now, some of that is contained in milk, but there are many other sources that you can get it from. But what is the main driver of giving everybody milk? And we're one of the few species of animal that continues to drink milk past the weaning period. In the Fitra, most animals past the weaning period stop drinking milk, but we're told that you must drink milk all the way up into your 80s to strengthen your bones. That comes from the dairy lobby. Just so you know. Now, more commonly known, more commonly associated is sneezing, stuffy nose, itchy eyes, out of season. People, environmental allergies you can't do much about except move to a place where the trees do not contain that particular pollen. I don't really push environmental allergens because it's much more difficult to address. That if you're going to pick up and go to Arizona, where you're not going to have oak trees, you're not going to have pine trees, you're not going to have a lot of the molds, etc., because it's a desert environment. A lot of people do very well in those environments, but most people may not want to live in the desert. I'm one of them. So what you do have control over is your home environment and your testing, which I'll tell you how to get, to find out which things you have this IgG delayed onset reaction. Next slide, please. So what's a body to do? Once you find out that you do have either a sensitivity or you have a food intolerance. Now, let me just back up and explain one thing. Sensitivity is just what it sounds like. It means that small doses of things that many people don't react to, you do. These are things that are generally found as chemicals, colorants, preservatives. These are things like MSG. Personally, if I'm going to eat Chinese food or Indian food, I have to specifically look for restaurants that say no MSG in the food. To eat it gives me symptoms of asthma or maybe like heart issues. It gives me a tightening in the chest and makes it hard for me to breathe. But it's sold in the stores. Do you remember a food seasoning called Accent? It's monosodium glutamate, MSG. Tartrazine, that's a food dye. Red, above all, red and yellow colorants. Tartrazine is the yellow. FDC number something is red. And what do they put in Fruit Loops? Most of the children's cereals have food colorants in them. If the General Mills, Kellogg's, and the other food cereal producers, they have to make a different batch of cereal to sell in Canada and in Europe because those preservatives that we give our kids here in the US, the producers make it in our stuff, but they can't sell it abroad because it's banned. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. BHA, a preservative. Ones that you may not really be paying attention to, sulfites. Sulfites. If you eat dried fruit, you will find sulfites in them. It's a preservative, especially in coconut, especially in dried mango or dried coconut. Sulfites. And it has different forms. So there's sulfites, there's metasulfites, and then there's metabisulfites. A bunch of that stuff in dried foods, especially. And when you encounter those, the reaction, as I say, may or may not be an immediate reaction. Just like food poisoning, here's another one. You have to be very careful about food that sits in your refrigerator for a long period of time. Remember, we're all programmed to not throw out food, especially if you came up in an environment of food scarcity. You don't throw out food unless it's moldy, unless it's got ick growing on it. But there are many patients that I had who are from the Philippines or from India, a lot of places where women are homemakers and stay at home and cook every day. They make enough food for the day. People eat at lunch. Whatever's left over is eaten for dinner. And if there's any leftovers from that, it goes with the family member to work. So food is rarely more than 24 hours old. But some of us who have to work have decided, well, you know what, and this is what my mom used to do as someone who had to work and didn't have a lot of time for family things. You make things that take a long time to cook on Sunday. So you would cook your meats, you cook your beans, you cook things that take hours, 2-3 hours to make on Sunday. And then during the week, you'd make your sides because rice takes 20 minutes to make, potatoes take 30 minutes to make, like that. But the result of making casseroles or things like that in large amounts so that you don't have to cook every day, maybe you cook every 2 or 3 days, is the development of something called histamines. Now, the food is not bad, it hasn't spoiled, but remember, there is a dynamic race between building up and breaking down. And even though we cook our food, there's always bacteria in food. It's just that it's at such a low level that heating will destroy it or destroy enough of it so it doesn't make us sick. And the acid in our stomachs will take care of the rest of that. That's another nod to not eating or not drinking alkalized water. It's the acid in the stomach that kills the germs and makes food edible. So another reason not to use the microwave is that the microwave will frequently not heat all of the food evenly. Microwave works from the outside in, or maybe I got it wrong, but frequently the center of the food is not heated. So that's why even when you do have food that is recommended, frozen dinners, to be microwaved, you have to stop after 2 or 3 minutes, stir it, and then put it back in the microwave to be reheated again for another minute or so. But the best way, if you're going to reheat leftovers, is to put them in, number one, you store them in a glass container. Plastic containers frequently will have scratches and gouges, or if you put food in there when it's hot, the integrity of it is damaged a little bit. And then you start getting microplastics in your food. That's another discussion. But glass things, and they have a top. Never put food in your refrigerator uncovered. Then when you heat it, take it, put it on the stove. Heat it slowly, ideally covered, so that the steam is a great way to quote unquote sterilize things. This is what hospitals do. When they sterilize instruments in between patients, they have something called an autoclave. And an autoclave effectively heats the instruments to a high level of temperature so that all germs are effectively killed in it. Now, we can't do that, shouldn't do that with our food past a certain point because you destroy all the nutrients in the food. So yeah, you'll be filled up, your belly will be filled up, you won't be hungry, but the food that you eat will be nutritionally void. There won't be any of the because this is the argument people make for eating raw food, which is a good thing to do if you raise your own food. You grow your own lettuce. And by the way, if you're in the American South, that would be anywhere from Virginia all the way down to Florida. This is the time, now and through April, is when you want to start your garden. There's about 15 different vegetables, including sweet potatoes, tomatoes, strawberries, lettuces, greens, cucumbers, on and on, that you can grow. Even if you live in an apartment, you can get grow lights. So we really don't have an excuse not to. But my point to bring that up is, if you're going to eat raw foods, and I'll do a presentation on that, the enzymes are intact. That means that your body does not have to expend energy to break down the food. What makes food rot or decompose? Enzymes and bacteria. What breaks down the food in our bodies so that we can use it? Enzymes and bacteria. So that's a discussion for another day. But I wanted to bring up the issue of cooking your food to decrease histamines, which causes allergic reactions. And what can you do so that you can know what kind of fuel does your body vehicle run on? Best way, get tested. What kinds of tests? Allergy testing. More specifically, you can test for environmental things. That's like pollens and dusts and molds and stuff. I put that as number 3. But IgE, things that you are seriously allergic to, get tested for that. And more importantly, I would say number 1 would be the IgG. There's a test, and I'm putting it at the next slide or two, where you can get it tested very cheaply, and it'll test for over 200 common foods that people have reactions to. And it will tell you, this is a severe food sensitivity or intolerance, a moderate one, or a low one. And here's a key difference. You can, over time, reintroduce foods that you are sensitive to or intolerant to. There's a way to do it, and I can coach you through that. Things that you are immediately sensitive to, that's your IgE things. That's your bee sting foods, your peanut foods, your strawberry foods, your seafood things that you have swelling and hives and all of that to. Those you'll be lifelong allergic to. But food sensitivities, food intolerances, you can teach your body out of that. Well, why isn't this commonly done? Why do not your doctor or your healthcare practitioner, why don't they look at that when you present with intestinal symptoms, with migraines, with rashes, with aches and pains in joints and arthralgias, especially rheumatoid arthritis? Why don't they test for food intolerance? They'll test you to say, do you have rheumatoid arthritis? They'll test you to see if you have lupus. Do you have antibodies to your own body? Well, yeah, they'll do that, but they don't test you for things that can give you the same symptoms found in your food or found in things that you are exposed to by way of preservatives or food colorants. And the reason for that is expense, because if you do not know testing sites, then it's expensive, like what they call RAST testing or ELISA testing, that kind of testing. through your insurance company and through your doctor is thousands of dollars. So that's completely out of the reach of the common person. But the other thing is resistance from the medical establishment. Now, remember, the medical establishment exists in a parasitic way, I believe, to us. What is a parasite? It's something that feeds off an organism for the detriment of the organism. And that's what chronic disease does. Chronic disease is you go to the doctor and he gives you something to treat the disease without removing the cause of the disease. And that's the medical establishment. And that's because it's profit driven. How is it profit driven and who profits? Big pharma. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with big pharma because there are situations where big pharma and its drugs have saved lives. This would be critical care. This would be trauma. This would be in the anaphylactic realm, right? But in the majority of cases, chronic illness is not removed or cured by drugs. The symptoms are treated, but not the cause. And the other part is that doctors, medical providers, nurse practitioners, nutritionists even, are not trained to treat illnesses with food. They're not. It's just not part of it. It used to be, but once the American Medical Association took control of healing, it got shifted in favor of drugs. Next slide, please. So where are we now? You have to do it yourself. That's the basis, and that is the focus of my presentations and my coaching and my teaching. Nobody benefits more from your health than you do. Nobody profits from your sickness more than the medical establishment. So you do it yourself. If you happen to live in a health freedom state like North Carolina, you can go to a lab, you pay for it yourself, and you order whatever test you want. Now, you should consult your provider so that he or she can interpret the results that you get. But oftentimes, the same lab that offers the test, or the same company that offers the test, also has providers as part of their company that will help you interpret the results and help you develop a program so that you can rid yourself of the situation that you're in by your food. I can help you. I can coach you through that myself. So to order that, you want to go to www.yorktest.com. I ordered the food sensitivity test myself. Over 200 different foods that you are either sensitive or intolerant to. And get the book from which I gleaned a lot of this information from, the book called Hidden Food Allergies Is What You Eat Making You Ill by Patrick Holford and Dr. James Braley. When I told you in the beginning of the presentation that I splurged and bought a bunch of books, I got it from worldofbooks.com. This is a used bookstore out of the UK. Over 2 million different books. I am not an affiliate. I make no money from recommending them to you. But what I do recommend is, I'm a person who's got a very serious thrift gene. Amazon will do it faster. I think these people do it less expensively. So because it comes from the UK, it's going to take 7 to 10 days for it to get to you. Whereas Amazon, being located here in the US, frequently will do it overnight in some cases. But I'm willing to wait, because with World of Books, if you order, I think it's over 25 books, then the shipping is over $25. In books, the shipping is free. So I'm willing to wait. That's 5 to 7 days for it to come, 5 to 7 business days. And there are some books I've ordered from Amazon where it still took 5 to 7 days. So that is my gift to you. If you're suffering from any illness, I urge you, get the book. And there are a couple of other books that I'm going to be bringing to you from this same author that help you deal with things like the first one I spoke to you about, Optimum Nutrition for the Mind. This is how to preserve your brain. Yeah, how to address mental illnesses via nutrition. Patrick Holford, his expertise is in nutritional therapy and the biochemistry of nutrition. How do certain foods, once they're broken down in the body, how do they affect your brain? How do they affect your allergies? I am looking at it because I want to rid myself of arthritis. I refuse to accept that aging is a necessary, that suffering, pain, lack of mobility, decline is necessary part of aging. I don't believe it is. As a matter of fact, I know it isn't, because there are certain things that I have eliminated from my food fuel, and the symptoms that I experienced have gone away. Now, the next thing I have to tackle is how to overcome habits. I have a fondness for sweets. And my father was an excellent baker. So I've grown to associate sweets with love and sweets with a whole experience of being at my father's side while he was baking. I'm learning out of that. Or I'm learning how to prepare things that don't make me sick, because it's a bad trade-off. I leave you with this. There is the law, as you know, of cause and effect. There's also the law of cost and consequences. We live in a society that says buy now and pay later. Now, the cost of that later payment can be extremely high, especially if the interest that you pay is sickness. So remember what Hippocrates said 8,000 years ago. No man can be healed until he's willing to stop doing the things that made him sick in the first place. So now you have the tools. You can learn what makes you sick. Then the only work you have to do is to stop doing what makes you sick in the first place. So I pass the talking stick back to Instructor Bilal, and I have a little time for questions for those that have them. Instructor Bilal?
Yes, ma'am. Does anyone have any questions for Karima? Speak now. I guess you did such a thorough job. There's no one with any questions.
Hi. Okay.
We're listening.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm sorry, I don't have issues, but at certain times I do have food insensitive to certain foods that people have prepared that I don't want to eat. So I tell myself, or tell them, I'm sensitive to this food that you have prepared. That's kind of like a protection for me, because I don't trust the hands who have prepared it and what they have prepared it in. So I would say I'm sensitive to this particular food. Not completely true, but I probably would if I ate it.
You're not alone in that. And I lean on something attributed to the prophet. I don't know if it's actually true, but it makes perfect sense. And that is, if someone gives you a gift, then you receive it and you give it to somebody else. So I like to say, like, for instance, I am highly sensitive to seafood, such that I cannot go into a person's house or I cannot attend a function, as is given in many masjids, where they are frying the fish in the location. Because when we prepare food, micro particles of it go into the air, and just smelling it will give me the same reaction as actually eating it. So I don't do that. I have to ask ahead of time if I'm going to visit someone or if I'm going to a function. I will say, or I'm going, we go as a family to a restaurant. I will say, what is the restaurant and what is the menu? Example, if they say we're going to Red Lobster, or we're going to sushi, or we're going to Bonefish Grill, a place that specializes in seafood, I will respectfully decline, because I can't do that. It's not personal. Well, actually, it is personal. It's, I want to be with you, but I can't go there as a matter of protection. So at that point, the family either says, you know, and I don't, by this point, they know me well enough. If it's important to the majority to go to that place, then go. And I'm happy to stay home and watch my videos and and eat whatever I want to eat and be happy. Instructor Bilal loves fish. He loves it. So when he and our sons get together once a week or every 2 weeks, and they go someplace where they have fried fish. Or sometimes we go to Golden Corral, and in Golden Corral, the place of preparation is far enough away from where we actually eat, and the ventilation is such that I can eat it, and he can eat what he eats, and I eat what I eat, and all is well. So that's that. Now, in a situation where somebody bakes something for me and brings me a bunch of it, I receive it. And if they say, gee, taste it right now, I say, well, tell me what's in it. And if they tell me, I'll say, well, I can't eat that, but I know the family will love it. And I really thank you so much for giving it to me, giving it to us. And I just show them my gratitude, and there we go. But people who know me know I'm going to ask, and they'll say, hey, by the way, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it doesn't have the other. And then we're really good about it. Or I'm making specifically, I am doing this for Instructor Bilal. Now I see from the chat, somebody says, I am experiencing, I forget what I can't see what he said. Ben, can you read to me what was in the chat? From the latest chat? Oh, wait a minute, I can see it here.
I am recovering from pneumonia due to pollen. The pollen here is very thick and getting worse. It's getting worse, especially for
Pine pollen.
Yeah.
So in a situation where the environment.
I'm sorry. Also, while we're on this subject, I'm never sure who this person is. I only see their cell phone. So could you please also let me know in the chat who you are by name? You can do it to me personally if you
My
want.
other phone failed, so I had to go to another phone. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. I just
Thank you so
need
much,
to know.
Rena.
Alhamdulillah.
So wonderful, this presentation. I'm just so happy with it. And maybe one day you'll can talk about I don't have a thyroid gland, and I recently found out I'm calcium deficient, and because the calcium is causing me to have more inflammation because I don't have a thyroid. So there's so much stuff going on. Everybody's so many issues going on. But
Well,
thank you so much.
here's what you do. Speak with me. You can reach me offline so that you can maintain your confidentiality. And
Okay.
my email address is truehumanhealing@gmail.com.
All right.
True, TRUE, human, HUMAN, healing@gmail.com. And do keep in mind, when you do contact me, that I cannot substitute for your provider. I can.
Oh, I realize that.
I can.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to say because I am
All right.
myself a medical provider, but
Yes.
I'm by licensing and state laws and did it. But that said, there is information that I can give you that might help. And one thing that I can tell you right now is pollens are seasonal, right? Right now, because of now I don't, what state are you in?
Georgia.
Georgia, right. So here in North Carolina, right now there's this green pollen, pine pollen. It's all over your car. You'll see it. It's all over your cars. For those of you that are located elsewhere, it's actually neon green pollen, and it's everywhere.
Yes.
And we have about 2 weeks or 3 weeks when spring is fully sprung, when this stuff is here. And what you can do during that time is stay indoors as much as you can. You stay indoors and you have air purifiers. For those of us who have respiratory allergies, there is a huge benefit in having air purifiers, so that the air that you are breathing is filtered as much as possible. The second thing is, if you do go out, that's where wearing a mask makes sense. It definitely makes sense, because those particles are big enough if it's big enough for you to see, then it's big enough to be filtered by your mask. That's what you do. That's the one time where that makes a whole lot of sense. And then the other thing is, if you're driving, make sure that your car's air filter is fresh, right? Air comes into your car and it is filtered by an air filter. And it can get wet, it can get moldy, it can get all kinds of ick in it. And that's how that goes. Now, another thing that you can do, if we're waiting for insurance or providers to test you for allergies, I recommend that anybody who has a snot situation where you're coughing mucus and your nose is full of mucus and your eyes are itchy and your throat's itchy, immediately discontinue any dairy products. Dairy products are famous. They are notorious for causing mucus. And what does mucus do in the body? It's a protective mechanism, because it will trap particles that are in your environment and then cause you to sneeze so that you can expel them through your nose, cause you to cough so that you can expel them from the lungs. So you can do an elimination diet. Now, in terms of eliminating your calcium and your thyroid and all that, that's a discussion for off camera. But without your bones and stuff are not going to go bad because you don't have enough calcium. That can happen if you don't have enough vitamin D. Vitamin D and K2. So you want to speak to your provider, and if you do have the ability, get referred to a nutritionist. And if you need a milk-free, dairy-free diet, that can be obtained for you, and you can get it from ChatGPT. Amazing thing. Don't sleep on ChatGPT. Get the information, speak with your provider about it. So I don't know what meds you're on, and this is not the place to tell me, but you want to find out from ChatGPT, and you just put in there, hey, I have these allergies. I have this situation. What can you recommend for me? And it will scan the internet, and it will, in 30 seconds or less, come up with this program from this respected source. And you can then discuss that with your provider and say, in my specific situation, is this a reasonable thing to do? And how does it interfere or interact with the medications that I'm on, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I would recommend for you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
My pleasure.
Bilal.
Anybody else before I go? I'm going to come out of my books and actually make dinner for Instructor Bilal. So you better speak fast or hold your peace.
Happy
All right,
day.
I'm
All
out.
right. All
Love
right. All
you
right.
all. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's today's program. Is Nawa still with us? I see her there. Yeah. Okay. So we're finished, Nawa. If you want to do a closing uh
Oh, my screen went
piece
out.
on what we need to know going forward. So we'll wait for her to put her pieces back together.
Yep. So, all right. That was a great presentation as always. Come with questions prepared if you have any questions or any like insights that you have whenever Karima presents. I just truthfully think that everybody just soaks it in and
Yeah.
then they try to apply it as soon as they can. I think that's kind of like the nature
Nothing,
of
nothing wrong with that. You know,
yeah.
also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but ask your relatives, maybe your friends who have these issues, who may not necessarily want to join us for the class, but if they have these health issues, they can surely give you their questions, and we can ask them, you know, in place of you, and get the answers back to you. Health is that important. It doesn't matter that you're here physically, but if someone can speak for you, or a grandparent or somebody might not be vocal, um, you know, certainly these are people that we want to do something to increase their longevity and their good health, not just being able to live, but live well, at least, you know, functionally well. It's not a problem if you do that.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. So as our instructor mentioned, that's something that we can do, being that we'll be having these series for a few more, months maybe. We'll see what happens. Um, Tuition, April 1st, or I call contribution. April 1st is coming up, so don't forget to make your contributions for the sessions. And then the next thing is do not forget, everyone, we need to present. We did not forget about presenting. We were going through some shifts and transformation, but we are at the place where now is the right time. So if you haven't presented or if you have presented, let's start getting that back on the ticket and haven't gotten any messages recently. So I'm waiting for, looking out for messages from people to present. 5 minutes is good enough. Doesn't have to be long and drawn out. So that is all the announcement I have for now. And don't forget to go to the website to nuneticsinstitute.org and sign up because Adam did an amazing job. We really will benefit from it. And it's really a culmination of everything we've worked on over the past few years. So please get on it as soon as you can. And I'll be sure to have Adam, maybe I'll just put it in an email. I'll shoot out an email to the entire class and put the link in there and then encourage everyone to make sure you sign up. That is all I have to say. I'll pass the talking stick back to you so you can close this out.
All right. Well, thank you all. Remember Allah by reading your Quran every day, at least some of it, even if it's just one surah or a couple of ayat per day. Do it as soon as you get up in the morning, or at least before you go to bed in the evening. Make sure that you stay in touch with the Quran. No matter what else you're reading or thinking about reading, or no matter who you have to call and whoever you're talking to, make sure that the last voice, so to speak, is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into your ears. And you'll be surprised how beneficial that is to your growth and development. As we greet you in the greetings that obligate us all to be peaceful, meaning being full of peace and reconciliation. If we have problems with anyone, let's make this the particular week or group of weeks, or taking week out of the conversation. Let's make these weeks strong and stronger as we go along. It's good to see some of you guys. I'm seeing you for the first time right now, and hope you're not just getting here because we're closing out. But I think you've been with us for a minute.
I want
Um,
Salim's shirt.
yeah, yeah. Salim's got it. He's on it. He's matching now while there. All
Yes,
right.
I see.
And Abu, I
I
know
want
he's
that.
been with us
I
for a
want
while.
one. I want
Yeah,
that
well,
color.
it's one way to get it. Now let me just confirm. that the person who was taking care of the clothing part is still connected to the website. So it's going to be a couple of days before we make some adjustments before you start ordering at will. So give me a moment with that. Those people who need to make the contributions right now, I would say continue to make them through Cash App until I'm more familiar with how the funds are going under our new incarnation, our new presentation of website. So give us a couple of days on that. And also remember that we're beginning, inshallah, the psychology class for those of you who signed up for it and have paid the $20 for it. We'll be beginning that this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Okay. Unless something very strange happens, we're going to have that class, and I anticipate it. I look forward to it. And I'm hoping that those of you who are investing in it will get the greatest benefit from it. And I'm pretty sure you will. Okay. And please be on time. We're only going 1 hour. That's it. Anything over that, it will have to wait till the week after. Okay. So thank you all for being with us as I greet you in the greetings of peace. Salamun alaikum to you all.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.